So I don't know that I need to introduce Reddit a whole lot. I think maybe most people that are viewing are probably Reddit users. So you guys know what we're talking about. It's officially a social platform. It's a communication services company, similar but different than Meta. So um, this stock and this story here, let's see. This stock it was up about 5% today. Over the 5-day, up 5%. Over last month, beautiful. Look at that, 39.873. So here's what I like about stock investing, and I like it a whole lot, and is you see that this stock's done really well over the 1 month. Let's look at the year to date. Stock market said, you know what? Reddit's a pretty popular platform. It really just skyrocketed last year over the course of 5 months, 6 months. It went up 287%. That's just insane. And then the market said, well, we don't really like Reddit after all, and it went down 50%. Well, guys like me that had a chance, because this IPO'd about a year ago, and I don't like buying new IPOs because they tend to do this. There tends to be a lot of like excitement, stock goes up, and then it comes down. And I want to wait for it to come down. There's two advantages to that. First, I think it separates the short-term investors that were trying to make a quick buck, and it separates the long-term investors, where long-term investors will stick to the company because they're buying the company. They're not just buying a stock. Second, I get more information. We get more earnings reports. I get more earnings report. We've had 4 of them. I could study the data, their revenue growth, how they're doing, is their strategy working? So I get that advantage. Having said that, it really presented a nice opportunity over the last couple of months to buy into Reddit and participate in the run up of Reddit. This is looking really good. It's looking really good. And if you look at another stock, I'll open up another browser with Google. I mean, I'm going to look at Meta because this one has a really nice chart. So Meta's just crushed it, right? But you see here, the market, similar to Reddit, stock market's euphoric sometimes. Sometimes they're like, hey, we love a stock and it's going to go up. We hate a stock and it goes down. And Meta's been both a couple of times. And at one time, Meta was sold off by 76%. That's just nuts, right? And you could buy the stock here and you made 684% return. That's what's great about stock investing. You believe in a business, you understand that business, and you look for opportunities when the market says, hey, you know what? I'd like to give you a discount on Meta of 76%. Thank you. Appreciate it. Don't know what I did to deserve such generosity. So back to our friends at Reddit. It sold off by 61%. So there you go. It just got discounted. I got more information. So buying into Reddit is there. Now, Reddit, is it a desirable business? Absolutely. Here's what I like about Reddit. So I'm going to move a couple logos around just to prove my point. So I don't know if I'm going to get anybody to argue with me that Meta is a very desirable business. It has monopoly-like moats, keeps its competitors away just because their apps are so desirable by the users. And then a really bad business would be like the LA Times. I live in California, so I'm going to pick on the LA Times. Why is the LA Times a bad business? Well, 100 years ago, newspapers were great. People would advertise there. They would get distributed on corners. People would get it delivered to their homes. But now those businesses are terrible. They have no moat because news can be, found online. They're not growing. They're losing money. They're not creating cash flow. So this is absolutely the least desirable. And Reddit operates in that industry. Okay, they are in this industry. They are providing information, and it's more information and experiences that are experiential, and they can interact with one another. And the way I measure, a moat, and then the second metric, which is revenue growth, profitability, and free cash flow. Let's go through that. So for Reddit, competition. I don't believe Reddit has a competitor because Meta through Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, that's for a different type of user. The Reddit user is more really focused on that topic, that community within Reddit, really locks in and sticks to that community. They like that type of deep information and deep dialogue with other members of that community. Network power, I can't say that they're all that strong. I think their brand's very good, but not great network power like Meta. But their balance sheet's excellent, lots of cash. I like their growth, 60%. I like their profitability, and I like their cash flow. So when I put Reddit, it definitely goes in the green. Now they're not going to surpass Meta. I'm not going to go crazy and make that statement, but I would say that they're like over here. They're going to operate in their kind of corner of the universe, which is big enough, good revenue growth, good subscriber growth. They can grow internationally. So the business is a really desirable business. So when the market says, hey, investors, we would like to take the stock down this amount, I pay attention. And what's cool, what's been really fun is in the community, we saw this. We saw this, and as investors, we were like, hey, licking our chops going, this is looking good. This is looking real good. And I think a group of us jumped in and we've been making money. Now this stock, so this is over the year to date is what I'm looking at. Actually 6 months, excuse me. Over the last month, this puppy's gone up about 34.5. Over the 5-day, it's down a little bit, but over the 1 day, it's up 5%. Looking at the fundamentals of Reddit, there's a lot to like here. $26 billion market cap. You're paying, it's a little expensive. You're paying about, call it 16 to 18 times revenue. That's a little expensive. PE is really high at 214, and forward PE is 99, which is high. Analysts right now think it's about fairly priced. Now, there's a lot to like on their income statements. 64% growth rate. Very good. It's a pretty good sized business at 1.4 billion. That's a very good growth rate. Gross margins. Who would not like 90% gross margins? That is awesome. Awesome gross margins. And that's the type of business. Reddit doesn't have to pay anything for the next customer it gets. Literally, it can get 1 million new customers, 1 million new users, and it doesn't have to bat an eye. And advertisers, I think, really like advertising on Reddit because it's very specific, very focused. So margins are awesome, and it's generating free cash flow. For a young business, that's a very good sign. That just means that this business, once it gets greater scale, let's say it turns into a $10 billion business, holy smokes, they're going to be producing 10, I don't know, 8, $7 billion of free cash flow. That's going to be phenomenal because of those high gross margins. And they may be taken over, who knows? So the fundamentals look great for Reddit, which was really exciting to see the stock get sold off the way it did. Balance sheet's great. Analysts, let's take a look at analysts. One thing I like about stock analysis is it brings in information from analysts that are, stating what they think from a forecast perspective the business is going to grow. They also put a price target, and you can see that there's some optimistic analysts that say, hey, this stock can continue to go up to $220 a share. And then there's some analysts that are not bought in. They're like, hey, this stock can go down to 67. All righty. But I like the information it provides in the form of this revenue growth line. Revenue growth is really important because to me, right, is revenue growth tells me more customers use the product or service. The product and service is so good they could raise prices. Customers are telling other people, hey, you should be a user of Reddit. It's really good. So all those things are positive for the company. They're getting bigger because they earn additional incremental addressable market. So that's all good. And together, analysts are thinking it's going to grow 45% this year, 28% in 2026, 25% 2027. Those are really good growth numbers. So those are great growth numbers. And look at this profitability. It is going to jump up 82% next year. It's going to jump up 40% the year after. It's because this business is so darn profitable. As they get bigger scale, they're just going to make more profit, more cash. So that looks good. I'll share with you my valuation of Reddit. I've got it ready to go. I am, as you could probably tell by my tone, I really like Reddit. I think it's a great company. I think it's close to fair price. It's discounted a little bit, just a little bit, and because the stock's gone up. But here's my valuation, and when I take all the cash flows I expect the company to produce using their financials and a growth rate of 40%, that scale is going to create an ability for them to grow cash flows that quickly. It creates a net present value of those cash flows of 31 billion. And that is taking all the cash flows I expect in the future. Let me make this guy a little bigger. I think that's a little hard for everybody to see. There we go. So when I take the cash flows based on what they're producing today and what's being forecasted, and I do my best forecast, right? I've studied the Reddit business, again, had a couple extra quarters beyond their IPO date to study their cash flows and set up that forecast of cash. And we get to, these are the cash flow amounts that I expect the next 4 years. And then all cash flow beyond year 4 will be in this bucket, which is terminal value, and it's going to grow by 5%. These buckets are going to grow by 40%. I'm going to discount by 8%, and I get to $31 billion of value. I'm going to add cash, almost no debt. So all the cash flow and the cash on the balance sheet is worth $33 billion, but the stock's trading at 26. So there's a 21% discount if I just look at cash flows. When we look at earnings per share, they don't have the earnings to substantiate their stock price yet. Next year, they should have it because it's going to go up like 80-some%. So maybe then this will value better. When I combine the two, and I put more weight on the free cash flow method, you get to a 6% discount. So I like Reddit, and back to the desirability of this company. A company in green, I'm willing to pay a fair price, especially if I truly believe that they're in a space that's just going to get better and better and better. And I think that's the case for Reddit. I think Reddit space is going to get more valuable and more valuable because the engagement within the Reddit platform is really deep. I mean, I've been using Reddit for a couple of years, and I can tell you there's some real deep conversations with some very intelligent people that really know what they're talking about. And of course, with any platform, there's a bunch of silly talk too. But I can tell you that if I want to talk about, for example, bonds on Reddit, there's no better source. You go on Reddit, you're going to get people that know bonds inside and out. It'll be a master's class on bond investing, how to understand bonds, how bonds are valued, all that good stuff. Reddit. Would be interesting to see is if Reddit's going to create an AI app. AI app, excuse me. So Reddit's a really good, desirable business. I'm willing to pay a fair price. I don't own a lot of it, so I am buying Reddit. I'm buying it up, scooping it up, buying more of it because I think it's just, I'm going to wake up in 5 years, if not 10, and this stock is going to be worth far more. I think it could double, triple, quadruple in the next 5 years. It's just that type of business. So long as they continue to grow, they continue to do what they do very well, I'll be a owner of the business. So long as the stock price doesn't jump up too much. Like if it jumps up like a Robinhood, I haven't sold any of my Robinhood shares, but I haven't bought any either because it's jumped up so much. Now Coinbase is taking off on me. Again, I'm not selling any Coinbase shares, but I'll just watch it because it's going up so fast. I'm hoping Reddit does the same thing. And I own I think a good number of shares, but not enough. I'd like to buy more. So that is Reddit. It is a stock that we've talked about quite a bit. It is a stock that, you know, what is fun is we talked about it 4 months ago, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, a month ago, and today, and we continue to talk about it. We can really follow through on what was a really good setup for a good investment, really good information, you know, provided to the community. And then of course, everybody makes their own decision. There's no financial advice ever given on this channel. It's just good information from investors sharing their own unique experience. And I think several members have played Reddit and invested in Reddit and done well with Reddit. So good one. So it looks like, Mike, you got a comment. We got some other comments in there too that I'm going to get to in a second. I missed the bottom, but your average is 106. Nicely done. Nicely done. All right. Well, when it hits 1,000, we can really celebrate.